Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Movie Mates video, another Loki mini review this time. I'm Matthew, of course, joined by my wonderful co-host and best friend.
Callum.
Hey man, great to see you. So, as I said, yeah, it's another Loki review, the third episode this week. So, we're halfway through the show, which is this is flown in to be honest, even though we're a bit late to the trend, but nonetheless, we'll get this episode out before episode 4 releases on Wednesday. So I'll pass over to Cam to explain what's been happening in this week's episode. So yeah, off to you, mate.
So this week sees Loki and his female variant being transported to another apocalypse, which she presumably has hidden out before. And this episode is more of a side story in the tone of sort of the Mandalorian season 2, episode 1. Where there's just a side adventure in a mining town essentially. So the intention of this episode is just to create a bond between the two characters, to show how they're similar or different to each other. But it's very different to the previous two episodes, and not necessarily my favorite. And I think that's the wide consensus.
Yeah, it's so weird because this one actually is my favorite. It's a weird. Yeah, I know. It's because it is definitely more of a confined episode. I don't know if I don't know if you'd call it like like a standalone episode that doesn't have a lot of connections to the main storyline because it is quite separate in that sense. It takes place just in this like apocalyptic planet. But that being said, yeah, I really did enjoy it. But just before we kick off this review, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the show down below. We'd really appreciate that. And again, thank you so much for everyone who's supported us recently, who's subscribed, who's watched our videos. We really do appreciate that loads. Honestly, we do. So yeah, mate, if you want to open the floor with your thoughts on the episode, mate, and I'll chip in where I can.
So the episode opens with the female Loki variant interrogating one of the hunters, and we see her doing this through a vision where they're sort of gal pals, drinking the night away. And the opening interrogation I thought was great. And in the moment that I was watching it, I really hoped that instead of a interrogation, it was actually just a flashback, and they were secretly friends, and this whole conspiracy, complicated this entire thing. And then, I thought that was maybe going to be a confirmation of the rest, of the
Yeah,
theory that the rest of the TVA employees were actually variants. And then it is actually confirmed by the end of the episode. And I was surprised they confirmed it this early. But that opening scene, I was like, is that what this is trying to say? And then it kind of shied away from it for a minute. And then I thought it was maybe going to pick up on those threads in future
yeah,
episodes. But by the end of this episode, it's confirmed, because I feel like this is an episode that people would skip on a rewatch, but then you see the integral information that's actually delivered. So I think it's
yeah.
as important as the previous two episodes, just not necessarily as engaging.
Yeah, I feel the same. I kind of thought the same thing as well. I thought that was maybe like Lady Loki's life before all this had happened and stuff, but it had just turned out she was sort of implanting herself in one of the members' memories. So yeah, it was a very strange episode narratively speaking. You get a lot of downtime with Loki and Lady Loki, just chatting, just getting to know each other, and yeah, I don't know if they're trying to build a romance there or not, or just
See,
a good
this is what
friendship.
makes me feel sick,
Hmm.
because it's not like, I mean, in my opinion, she can't possibly be like a female variant as they previously defined it, because she hasn't stepped foot off of Loki's timeline, because her life up to that point, would be identical to his. But she says her mother died, and unless she killed her, she wouldn't be responsible for the variation. So she has to be from a different universe entirely, but that doesn't fit the definition of the multiverse that's been presented so far. So the TVA must be lying about that. But even if she's from a different multiverse, or from a different universe within the multiverse, she's not technically, like, she's not a female Loki variation in a sense, because she's not like him. She's like if Lofi had a daughter, not if
Yeah.
if there is a variation, I don't think she should be the variant. I think it must be Lofi, had sex at a different time, and he produced a daughter instead of a son. which would make this his sister more than himself. So
Yeah,
it
it's
really made me
weird.
feel sick that they were trying to build this weird sexual tension. And I'm
Mhm.
like, well, that's not you. It's really your multiversal sister.
Yeah, it's
That's
bizarre.
how I saw it.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like their relationship should just stick to being platonic, quite frankly. But yeah, I thought it was weird myself. One thing about this episode I do quite like is I'd mentioned this in the previous Loki review. It's got that kind of Doctor Who sort of Black Mirror-esque narrative to it, where it is sort of confined in its own bubble. I think people definitely, this is an episode where it'll split people. Like sort of, it might be, this is your least favorite one of the show so far. It's my favorite of the show so far. Like I think it's one where like you could probably skip it if if you wanted to, and if on a rewatch, but I wouldn't recommend you would, because as you said, like there is some key information that it gets into the nitty gritty straight on to. So, and yeah, like I don't think this episode has an appearance at all from any TVA or Mobius or anything. I think it is just
Uh,
pretty much those two and that planet. So it's
I mean,
refreshing.
we
It's
see like
different.
Renslayer at the beginning, where the
Mhm.
female variant is trying to launch her attack on the TVA, and then they escape through the portal.
Yeah, and I one thing, if I jump straight to the big sort of reveal, well not reveal, but there's the big event here, like the characters don't escape, it's sort of built up to this, like they'll recharge this sort of little device and let them escape and stuff, but it's kind of like a oh shit, we're stuck here kind of thing. Obviously they'll get out of there eventually, be it the TVA rescuing them or whatever, but it was kind of refreshing to see our heroes or anti-heroes, if you will, not succeed. You know what I mean? Like they do fail because of their own fault, like them not trusting each other or not getting along. Like that's down to them. Um so yeah, it was, well, how did you feel about that just in general, mate, that dynamic?
Yeah, I suppose it was. I did expect sort of a neat wrap up. It was kind of how I was surprised with the end of Infinity War. Uh, I mean, Infinity War pissed me off for a few reasons because I was like, they sort of did a Chekhov's gun where they repeatedly said if he gets all the Infinity Stones, then he could snap everyone out of existence. They say that 2 or 3 times throughout the film before he eventually does that. So I was like, well, now if he doesn't do that, it's disappointing. But if he does do that and they kill off half the population, and the next movie is just them undoing it, what was the point in doing it? Like there are no stakes if you can just go back and erase it. So this was different in that at least I think this was the episode format allowing for that. Where they can end on this sort of tragic moment where they accept death, but then in a new episode they can undo that. There's still time. I think that works a bit better than when Infinity War closed on that, and then you
Yeah.
had to wait for the new movie. I think that this is a bit different, but it was definitely uh, more emotionally effective. I think it had more of an impact because it was a tragic ending or
Yeah, agreed,
presented
mate.
as such.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. I think this episode really, I thought it had the potential to introduce kind of like an MCU character in that planet or something like that, or actually have a cameo. I think it maybe missed the mark there, because I feel like with all the variants and the different sort of timelines, there is the opportunity to have other characters appear. Obviously, we've seen that with Lady Loki or whatever, but I think they missed the boat there to potentially have like a cameo from someone or something like that. But it remains to be seen. There's still 3 episodes left of the show, so I'm hopeful still.
But like, do you agree with I think you absolutely can't explain why the Spider-Men look different or why their universes are different without saying that they're from different universes within the multiverse, nothing to do with being branches of the same timeline.
Hmm.
But do you think, I suppose it is possible that the variation here is that just you know the situation of Loki's birth was different, and they were born female. Do you think that's more likely the branch variation, or do you think it's that she's from a different universe entirely,
I
or do you
think
think she
maybe
was
they'll
just
try to
born
explain it.
different?
I think they're going down like the different parent route, because they kind of left that ambiguous, like their background. So I feel like they might go that, but I think that they could easily explain it by saying like, yeah, they were just conceived at different times. One happened to be born as a girl, one happened to be born as a guy, and that would just make them multiversal sisters. Which is, it's, if they explain it that way, that just makes this whole episode bizarre when they try to have that sort of little spark there, which is weird.
Yeah,
Um,
because like there's a moment on the train where they get like a little bit too close, and it's a bit like that moment in Thor Ragnarok where
yes, yeah,
Thor and Valkyrie jump into the ship together, and there's that sort of like moment of weird tension where they then back off from each other, and I was like, the fuck is this? Like,
yeah, yeah,
they
yeah,
played it as that, where
yes.
it's either him wanting to shag himself or shag his multiversal sister.
Mhm.
Either way, I'm uncomfortable.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. But it's going to be interesting to see how they explain it because I definitely feel like there's going to be something where like a character sort of like I don't have a good feeling about Lady Loki, to be honest with you. I think there's going to be something where like something happens to her or something, or she dies in the show or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like that's going to happen. But that being said, I think this episode did good at sort of building that chemistry and the relationship between the two. Um, Hopefully they keep it platonic. But I think they have good chemistry. But I just can't see how they're going to explain it. Like, I'm going to look so silly if, like, in a few episodes time, like, the TVA just lied. But then, yeah, that just seems like a cop out bullshit sort of excuse just for lazy writing, doesn't it? So, I don't know, but it remains to be seen. Mate. That's the main takeaway from today's review. It remains to be seen with other episodes.
And there's one big moment that we haven't talked about just yet, and that's that Loki is confirmed as bisexual in this episode,
Yeah.
which is very important for representation within the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting our first uh, gay couple, I believe, in the Eternals, and then we'd had strangely the first, I think, confirmed gay character within the MCU film universe. That there were gay characters on some of the TV shows, but within the movies it was Joe Russo's
Yeah.
character in
In
the stadium
Endgame.
scene in Avengers Endgame.
Yeah.
So this is a bit more meaningful because it's not an offhanded reference. I don't think, like, I think it may play out as a storyline. Hopefully,
Potentially.
if this version of Loki continues, he may have. We haven't really seen him with any romantic partners. So whether that's a man or a woman, hopefully this isn't just you know
Yeah.
queer baiting or a offhanded reference, as it was in Avengers Endgame. Hopefully this is something meaningful. But at the very least, it's a character, for a lot of people to empathize with.
Yeah, I think that community is starting to get more representation now, obviously with Loki, and I think the Valkyrie character is bisexual, or I can't remember. Maybe I'm misinformed
Yeah,
or
there
something.
was a deleted scene where like a woman exits her room, but I think all explicit reference to it was removed from for Ragnarok.
Hmm. Yeah, what's interesting, 'cause I think it's an aspect of the Loki character that's I'm not sure if it's been delved into greatly in the comics or anything like that. I'm not, as I say, I'm not like a super big Loki fan or anything, but it's nice to see that representation as well, and it makes sense for the characters because the character is he's just he's just oozes charisma and stuff, and you know what I mean. And it's just nice that there's that that level of representation there as well, and I think I just can't get over how weird it is, the multiversal sibling thing. That's sort of clouding my head at the minute. It's so bizarre if that's what they were trying to do there, isn't it?
Yeah, you're like, please give him a boyfriend, don't give him a girlfriend that is, someone
Yeah,
that's either him
exactly.
or his sister.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, it's a good reveal, mate. It was probably the big sort of reveal of this episode, I suppose. Yeah.
So I have that's everything that I have to say on this
Yeah,
episode. Do you
mate.
have anything further?
Me too. Me too. Yeah. And what would you give it out of 10, man? If you're gonna rate it.
So I do think this is the weakest of the three, not necessarily in storytelling, but I think that there were just a few things that made me a little uncomfortable. Let's be honest. And I'm not always usually a huge fan of sort of stepping away from the main narrative. Season 2, episode 1 of The Mandalorian. I know people were fans of that,
Yeah.
but it was really not my cup of tea. You haven't seen The Mandalorian yet,
I
have
haven't,
you?
mate. No, we'll have to review it sometimes. I know Cash has been saying
Yeah,
about
yeah.
watching it.
Yeah, the book of Boba Fett's coming out in December, so if we want to maybe talk about it, sometime around then, that might be a good idea.
Hmm.
But, that series is really strong as a whole, but then episode one I think is a little weak, and this sort of did play that part in this season so far.
Hmm.
You know, I really like the acting of the two characters. I don't like that there's an attempt at romantic chemistry. That was really off-putting. But the rest of it, I thought the performances were great. The CGI was incredible. The environment
Agree.
they
Yeah, it was
created
very
was
good. Very, very good.
magnificent. And I think it was smart bringing back the fact that she had hidden in apocalypses to bring this sort of sense of doom and dread into this context of being transported somewhere else.
Definitely.
So I really did enjoy it. It's just the weakest of three very strong episodes in my opinion. So I'd probably give it an 8.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very good summary of the episode. I think for me, it was definitely, obviously, it's the most different episode of the show so far, but with that in mind, I did love it. I thought it was my favorite episode. I think it's got good rewatchability to it in the sense you could watch it as a standalone episode and not be confused about other elements of the show. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to see how they resolve the kind of the cliffhanger at the end of them being left stranded on the planet and not be able to save everyone. So I hope, I actually think there's a possibility like they could just do like this could be like a 2 episode kind of like a, the way the Flash does like a Gorilla Grodd style sort of 2 episode special thing. Maybe like I know there's only a 6 episode miniseries, but like I think they could easily just have like a 2 episode sort of segment where they're just in this planet trying to escape and stuff. There's definitely room for that, especially with the episodes being as long as they are. So yeah, mate, I think I think this episode it's a great one. Both characters get time to sort of give their piece, have emotional moments on the camera. So it's a 9.5 for me, mate. It's close to flawless, to be honest. Um, but yeah, that concludes another Loki review. Thanks, man, for today. I appreciate it. Um, be sure viewers, if you just want to check out other reviews of Loki, you can check out our Loki playlist, and as I say, our email and stuff and our iTunes link and stuff's in the description down below. So thank you very much for watching. Appreciate it. Hope you guys are all well. Hope your family and friends are all safe and well also. Take care, everyone, and catch you later.
Bye bye.